Secondly, even I'll tell you one very important NAP commission. He was the Commissioner of Police in New York. And it was 70s actually. In New York City, he was given a task that how to prevent corruption. US also bogged down by big corruption, 30, 40 years before. So he came out a very good theory. There are two types of people or two types of corruption. One is called meat eater, another grass eater. He's a grass eater is basically tipping. You go to a hotel or these are all small, even sometimes you give a compliment of chai or some compliment. These are all grass eater. This is basically, historically it is there and in future also will be there. Though it is wrong, I understand it's a rent seeking again. But certain things, human behavior, you cannot change altogether because these small compliment, pen, diaries, New Year, all these things. And the meat eater, basically the large volume, and which is really dangerous for our economy, black economy. Maybe nowadays, because terror economy also is another issue now. Because the meat eater, what happened? Why this so, the cricket betting was strong, taken very strongly because they found that this all money going in terror funding. Somewhere abroad, and back to the sponsoring terrorism in India, that's really serious. This is meat eater, and that's who we should target nowadays. Unless you have this really system in place to the target the meat eater, perhaps corruption will not be eliminated. I'll just give you a small example. Constitutional says the scientific temper by small query. Nowadays you have advertisement of that Fair and Lovely to make your skin fair. Does it make? And if it is so, why? Can anybody answer? Why this? Though it's a misnomer. Basically, Fair and Lovely cream or talcum powder make you fair. It doesn't happen because in our skin, pigments determine the maybe small, fair and dark, but that is not basically a demerit. But this, why it happens? Just to ask a question, what do you understand by some fair? Why you become a fairer? Why? Can anybody talk or answer this? I'll tell you why. Because if you analyze through a microscope our skin, it is many potholes what you see in the roads. Many potholes. If you see the microscope, our skin, maybe a face or whichever. So when you apply cream or talcum powder, these potholes are filled. Then you have got more reflection of light. Because what you see is basically reflection of light. That is why the foundation, when you go for any theatrical acting or TV shooting or maybe film shooting, a lot of makeup is added because you require more light, and that is why the brighter light also used, yellow light, so that camera pixel can capture those. That's why they look fairer, not because of anything else. These are all scientific temper. If you do not develop, a leader has to develop this concept because we just think something is there, inside maybe something else. Even in work field also, that's a very serious problem. We see this problem particularly, but inside maybe something else. And that is the reason we have to develop scientific temper. Maybe you may not be a science student, that's immaterial. Or you may be a science student, but scientific temper is basically analyzing through whatever the common physics, chemistry, or maybe it may not be a PhD holder in physics or chemistry, and that's very important. I think please youth should understand scientific temper is very important. I'll tell you another leadership. The Chinese proverb says that it is very common. You give a fish to a particular fellow, you help for a day. But you teach them fishing, that's basic helping of life. That's why youth should now, adopt that practice. We generally think that a beggar is on the street. We give 10 rupees and think that we have done a very good, punya, they call. Pune is city from punya. Actually, the name Pune came from the punya itself. But that is not actually the punya we do. We rather should, and that fellow should be either sending some system to educate that poor fellow, or maybe some government schemes, beneficiary, we should arrange that. That's very important. I'll tell you my personal example. When I was in Delhi going tour, I generally stay in a government guest house. So I go for morning walk. I saw a leprosy patient on the street side. I just asked him, how come you are here? He said he was from Bihar and he had come maybe many years before, and he was staying in a leprosy center just outskirts of Delhi. And he comes by, maybe now metro also there, buses, he comes there near to that Jantar Mantar. If you have seen the Jantar Mantar in Delhi, that near to Connaught Place, and he sits there and he says that I earn around 70-80 rupees per day, maybe And I just started, how are you getting any disability pension? These are all disabled, leprosy, even if cured also disabled, old age pension, all those. He said, I have not got anything. Then I came to my room, I took out a letterhead of me and wrote in my, because I am being a civil service officer, that slightly carries weight that you have to utilize for some purpose also. So I gave in writing all those things and telling that whoever, the first thing is the Aadhaar card requirement. He himself narrated, he went to Aadhaar card and he was thrown away because leprosy patient, even if cured, also normal perception is that you have a phobia is there. Secondly, his fingers, no fingerprint at all. So how to take finger? He had already a cataract operation eye, so there is no iris problem. So he was not allowed to take Aadhaar card even, whatever biometrics were taken. So then when I gave it, and he told that, sir, I know that you have not given me any 5-10 rupees. I have not given him at all. But this, I have seen, sir, 20 years I am there, many thousand people go, people drop 5 rupees coin, 10 rupees notes and all those things. But this is the first time I am seeing, giving a letter to me and enabling that I should go to officer, and by seeing he understood, he is slightly known that this designation will help to some man. After 10-15 days, he gave me a call again, mobile also, he said, I got it done. That's very important nowadays. Really, perhaps I could have, I could have shirked my responsibility, telling that if 5 rupees gone, okay, fine, for me, no problem. But that's really, youth has to take in a very positively now. I really request on that. Another, Lord Buddha, I learned this story from the Sri Lanka experience. And there Lord Buddha was teaching his disciples, and he suddenly got up and went to a tree. And he plucked some leaves and held it in hand. And he told, these are the leaves I am taught you. And those leaves are remaining in the trees I have not taught. And that is your duty to learn. Whatever you are reading in 2 years is basically capsules, few capsules. But the learning has to continuous. Then only you become good leaders and really enlightened leaders. And actually Mahatma Gandhi also told very rightly, learn as if you are living ever. I mean, learning never should stop that, okay, I am 30-year-old, 40-year-old, I am retiring, or I have got quite a number of seniority in my rank. That is very dangerous, really. I mean, that should be spirit of learning. And another slogan, that's in India, we really boast that we have got 100 billionaires. That's not a Japan, they say that it is not enough that one man runs for 10 kilometers. It is better that 10 people walk 1 kilometer. That's called inclusive growth. I think youth should focus that how much many people are coming in the bandwagon and they are really able to walk. Not that I prosper like this exactly, I think Mr. Jayant said that. The Edmund Hillary got the name, the other person didn't get the name. But that should be the spirit. Of course, I mean, those who are in the mountaineering, they know it. We are not in mountaineering business, so maybe might have not known it, but those who are on the field, even in organization also, whoever you are working, you will be known for that. Maybe temporarily somebody may snatch away some credit, but ultimately, I think today Mr. Jain highlighted, we knew that there is somebody else behind Edmund Hillary now. I mean, whether he knows himself or not, but at least we knew that. So that is the main important, we ensure that many other also walk along with you. And I'll tell you another, in India, another very dangerous thing, we are individually very excellent. We are extraordinarily capable, I mean, but when a team comes, we are a failure. I mean, the typical crab culture always is there. I mean, I really experienced in our Bamlikan also. I'll tell you, when I joined, everybody comes and said the other fellow is not good and all those things. That's really very, very bad. And actually happening in India also, really, unfortunately. And that is why the team is wiser than wisest member. That's what the Socrates or Plato has told. That we have always practiced that. I mean, we think that we'll cut somebody's leg and prosper, but doesn't happen. Ultimately, whole India image gets spoiled if you do this type of negative talking and negative. And lastly, I'll tell you now the concept of that. Typically, you are a management students, marketing, all those things you see is already a satisfaction. That is not. Now, client delight is more important. Whatever you're doing, It has to be how much your client, whichever way, maybe your parents sometime client, your children may be client, your wife may be client or spouse, they are all, delight has to be there. I mean, work-based, though, you have to look into that. Then only things will improve and service delivery will, and whatever the leadership will automatically bloom and, I mean, really prosper. And at the last, I'll tell you another small शायरी. जब तक आप लोगों का दिल और मन खूबसूरत रहेगा, जब तक आप लोगों का दिल और मन खूबसूरत रहेगा, ये जरूर है कि खुदा भी आप पर मेहरबान होगा. खुदा भी आप पर मेहरबान. थैंक यू वेरी मच. थैंक यू.
That although agriculture contributes 20% of the GDP, statistics say that almost 57% are dependent on agriculture for the employment part of it. So when we are talking of inclusive growth and inclusive leadership, you will suddenly find that there's a swelling of prosperity in the service sector. We mentioned about Pune, Hinjawadi, Raju, fine. You talk of Bangalore, talk of Noida, talk of NCR, talk of Hyderabad, the cyber city as we call it. But there you will find, that growth that has happened is not really inclusive, it is skewed. So if really we want to have inclusive growth, what is important is that we upgrade agriculture. And when you say agriculture, it's not only about the green revolution part of it, the logistics, warehousing, production, marketing part of it. Here what happens, you must have read about it. Recently, government has proposed that the APMC, Agriculture Produce Marketing Societies, they should not be allowed to sell vegetables and fruits, but the farmers should be allowed to sell it directly. What is the problem? What is the point? Problem is, see, earlier it was brought in so that the farmer gets an outlet for marketing. Now what happens, farmer has got a marketing outlet, but the people who are marketing agriculture products have got a vested interest, and what the farmer gets is not what the traders get. In fact, the traders are getting much more than what the farmers are getting. I'm privileged to have a lot of friends. You have heard of Thompson seedless, na? Abhi season aayega. Grapes, okay? There was a time when in Pune, that was the time I actually interacted with those people. There was a time when in Pune, the Thompson seedless was around 100 rupees a kilo, market rate, for me as a consumer. And then this friend of mine, he had his own, grape growing facility. Plus, he was also a member of one of the Nasik unit. You might have heard Sula. Everybody knows Sula. Inclusive growth. Okay, fine. Agreed. So then, I ask, what is that you get from Sula? What is that you get from, the thing which you give for retail? And then he said, when you pay 100 rupees, I get hardly 25 rupees out of it. Just think of it, huh? That means where does the 75 rupees go? Please don't tell me carrying 1 kg of grapes costs 75 rupees for transportation and logistics and cold storage. So where does the money go? Then what happens? The problem is that the person who is actually slogging or who is working on the shop floor is not getting the benefits of it. Who gets the benefit? That's what should be avoided if you're talking of sustainability. I'll give another example, again agriculture related, because that is one area where, I hope you'll appreciate if I say that agriculture is one field where the producer produces the goods. But the producer is the last person to decide at what price the product should be sold. You cannot have a higher exclusion than this. If I am Tata Motors, when I am selling a car, I say, okay, this car will be priced at so much. If I am Pune University, I say, okay, these are the fees I am going to charge you for course A, B, C, D. I am a farmer, I produce tomatoes, I produce tomato as we call it, okay? I produce grapes. Who decides the price? So when you talk of inclusive and sustainable growth, this is where all the stakeholders need to be brought in, and therefore agriculture and manufacturing contributing 20% but accounting for a substantial part of employment, while services sector accounting for 60% plus and employing hardly 15-17% of the workforce. That is where the growth becomes skewed, and we need leadership which will lead to a balanced. The balance, I don't say balance with 30, I'm not saying that. What I mean by balance is that particular sector which is contributing significantly to employment must also be given due priority so that it contributes in terms of GDP share also. Most of the Western countries give high subsidy to agriculture because they don't have people. And in India, any leader who wants to be sustainable and inclusive has to go in for labor-intensive technology because that is our core competence. That is the word which has not come up in the morning, but most of the people said that what is important is what you have. Now, inclusive and sustainable leadership must be able to identify the core competencies, and as I think my favorite topic, you have to leverage these core competencies to ensure that all the players are duly rewarded. Again, I say they should be equitably rewarded. I am not saying they should be equally rewarded. So if you are talking of inclusive growth and inclusive leadership, it has to be on the ground, and on the ground, like it or not, people understand in terms of what I get and what I have. And this is my additional suggestion apart from what I already mentioned in my earlier session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen. So it's now my turn. I will not talk about inclusive growth, sustainability, because we have been hearing this since morning. You all are MBA students pursuing management studies, 2 years program, lot of subjects, and we on this side of the table, we expect that you develop leadership. I'm focusing my sharing whatever I want to say in this particular seminar on your development, because I have a concern for that. In fact, during our lectures also we keep on talking on that. Are you really learning and are you really developing yourself for your future innings? You all know what is leadership. Influencing behavior of others is leadership. 5 out of 5, no problem. We take a note of Jack Welch, what he talked: positive energy, energize people, edge over, execute, and passion. Again, 5 out of 5. Question comes, are you taking a stock? Whether you are developing your leadership. Try to concentrate on that, especially those who are going to stay here for 1 year. And those who are, of course, going out of Pumba, you have to take a note. You have to have your benchmark. MBA or management education need not become just a fashion just to get a job. Getting a job is not an objective of management education, and that's what I feel. You will get a job if you know your subject, that formula called ASK, attitude, skills, knowledge. Yes, if you know the knowledge, and if you know how to convert that into practical aspect, you will get a job. But then when you will get a job, whether you can prove yourself as a leader, and leader cannot be developed within, say, fortnight or a month or 2 months. My army colleagues are sitting here, and they are in all the divisions. Ask them how the leadership is developed in army, or even in police, IPS, IAS. A second lieutenant, in our time second lieutenant, or today lieutenant. Lieutenant is certainly not a leader. Rather 3-4 years, 5 years, that fellow is asked to learn what is happening in that regiment, what is happening in that battalion, what is the tradition of that battalion, what is the history of that battalion, and then slowly, slowly the leadership is developed. I remember my initial days in Fort Ogra. I was a second lieutenant, and my boss, a Major Pradhan, he's no more, he retired as a brigadier. He told me, why don't you have a lot of time, why don't you talk to your people, 120 fellows, those who you are going to lead in a case of war. You must know your people. And I think that was correct, input for me to learn. I think that was my first input of HR, I suppose. I done a lot of HR activities without knowing that these are HR activities. Just 15 days back, I was back in my home, Fort Ogra, spent 3-4 days. And all those old memories, old JCOs and all that, and the present strength is totally new. And it's a reflection of young India, I suppose. A youngest major is 3 years service in a field, he's a major. Our commanding officer is a 16, 17 years service, and he's just 38 years and he's commanding a battalion. It's a reflection of young India. My point is, leadership is required to be developed. Sometime back, Jayant in earlier session said that our department is a student-centric, student-driven department. Yes? But remember, in induction, I give you one designation. You are student manager. Don't forget that. There are a lot of things. I mean, these 2 years you should consider. This is for your growth, Fine? Your growth. Once you start developing yourself, then yes, when you'll go into corporate sector, whatever sector, then you will think about others. Like for example, Ranjit sir is sitting here, and when we revised our syllabus last time, we included that group social project. Why? Why I included that? There is a spirit behind that, that yes, you should know your society, you should know what is happening in society, because one day you are going to be a leader in your corporate sector, you should know how to be a lot of corporate sector talking about CSR, corporate social responsibility. A lot of people give donation because there is ATG, but I personally consider if somebody is giving donation without seeing ATG format, I think that is what is social responsibility rather than getting a 50% off in income tax. Try to understand, because you owe something to society. Just last Sunday, I was with one leader. He was a founder of Patit Pawan Sangatna, Advocate Nandu Fadke. I'm going to share what he's doing at a village, Windsor. Bhushan Patodhan asked me to talk to him because what project he's doing is a wonderful project. I'm going to share that. He's from that particular village, Windsor, which is about 50 kilometers away from Pune. And he observed that the farmers are not getting laborers during the farming season. Say, for example, that particular village, that taluka, is known for rice. And since they are not getting laborers, the farm production has gone down. So what he did, he started approaching most of the colleges in Pune. 2 years he has been doing this, and then he started approaching students and he said, okay, what you want? You want a picnic? Okay, we'll have a picnic. But you'll have to work one day in a farm. We'll teach you in a rainy season. Let's go out of college and let's work in a field and enjoy nature. Fine? And a lot of colleges, including Ferguson, Symbiosis, Marathwada, and last year I think he took 6,000 students. Every day he take about 700 to 800 students, 10 buses on a particular given day. They go to that village, then over there the villagers, they have their teams, then per acre about 7 students, they go, they work, they enjoy. This is the first time probably most of them are understanding the labor involved in farming, agriculture. And then once that yield comes, he gives about 1 kg rice to that fellow who has worked one day. The result is quite satisfying. Fine? Because many civilians, they don't know the hardship done by a farmer. Fine. What I learned from that, I think when you go to the field, when you try to understand what others are learning, what others are doing, probably you are oriented towards that society. When you're going to manage, and I think the group social project which we have planned, we kept that objective in mind. But what is happening?